They'll tell you to work hard. They'll tell you to stay loyal. But they'll never tell you how easily the world replaces men who believe that's enough. This is not a comfortable chapter. It was never meant to be, because once you see this truth, you can't unsee it. Today, we're not talking about success or motivation. We're talking about value, and why most men, no matter how hard they try, remain disposable. From the moment you're young, the world gives you rules. Be polite. Be dependable. Be useful. You follow them, hoping they will protect you, hoping that one day someone will look at you and say, "We need him." But the world doesn't work that way. It never has. Look closely at history. Kings fell, warriors were discarded. Advisors who served for decades were removed overnight, not because they were bad men, but because they stopped being necessary. The world does not run on gratitude, it runs on function. Most men don't fail because they are lazy. They fail because they misunderstand how value is measured. They believe effort equals importance, but effort without leverage is invisible. You can give your whole life to a system, a job, or a person, and still be replaced the moment it becomes convenient. Think about it. How many people are praised while they're useful and forgotten the second they're not? How many men confuse being busy with being valuable? They exhaust themselves trying to prove loyalty while the system quietly plans how to replace them. Machiavelli understood this truth long before modern life. He saw how power moves, not how it speaks. Power doesn't reward emotion. It rewards results. It doesn't protect kindness. It protects necessity. Here's the harsh truth. If your absence does not create a problem, your presence never mattered. Read that again. Most men are replaceable because what they offer is common. They do what they're told. They follow the rules. They avoid risk. And in doing so, they make themselves easy to copy. Another man can step into their place tomorrow, and nothing changes. The world does not fear losing what it can easily replace. This is why comfort is dangerous. Comfort keeps you average. Comfort keeps you predictable. Comfort keeps you doing what everyone else is willing to do. And when you live in that space, you compete with millions. Irreplaceable men are not louder. They are rarer. They solve problems others avoid. They learn skills others quit. They carry pressure others run from. Not because they enjoy suffering, but because they understand something most don't. Pain creates leverage. Think of the man everyone calls when things break. Not the friendly one, not the popular one, not the popular one, the reliable one, the one who shows up when the stakes are high. He's not celebrated, he's depended on. And that dependence changes how people treat him. This is the difference between being liked and being needed. Liked men are praised, needed men are protected. Machiavelli once warned that a ruler who relies on goodwill alone is already weak. The same law applies to life. Good intentions don't secure your position. Unique value does. And here's the uncomfortable part. Becoming irreplaceable means letting go of approval. You will disappoint people. You will say no. You will choose growth over comfort and discipline over ease. And many will not understand you anymore. But understand this. When you chase comfort, you stay visible. When you chase value, you become essential. The awakening happens when you stop asking, "Am I working hard enough?" and start asking, "What happens if I'm gone?" If the answer is nothing, then no matter how tired you are, no matter how loyal you've been, you are replaceable. This is not meant to shame you. It's meant to wake you up. The world is not cruel. It's efficient. And once you see that, you stop taking it personally. You stop begging for recognition. You stop waiting to be chosen. You start building something that cannot be ignored. Because the moment your absence creates discomfort, you gain leverage. And leverage is the foundation of power. This chapter is not about becoming ruthless. It's about becoming real. Comfort makes you invisible. Necessity makes you matter. And the world will never protect what it does not need. So before you ask for respect, ask yourself this: what problem do I solve that no one else can? Becoming irreplaceable begins with abandoning comfort. Effort alone does not create value. Leverage does. If your absence causes no disruption, your presence is optional. The world protects what it needs, not what it likes. This is the awakening most men avoid, but the one that changes everything. The moment you stop being average, the world changes its tone toward you, not loudly, not all at once, quietly. People who once laughed with you now measure you. Conversations grow shorter. Compliments feel forced. You haven't done anything wrong, but something has shifted. You are no longer harmless. This is the descent. The part no one warns you about. When you begin to matter, you begin to stand alone. Most men think power feels like praise. It doesn't. It feels like distance. The more useful you become, the fewer people can relate to you. Your problems grow heavier. Your silence grows longer. And slowly, you realize something painful. Not everyone wants you to win. This is not bitterness. It is human nature. When you become necessary, you become a mirror. You reflect what others avoided becoming. Your discipline exposes their comfort. Your focus highlights their excuses. And instead of rising to meet you, many will try to pull you back down. You will feel this in subtle ways, jokes that carry sharp edges, support that disappears when you succeed, advice that sounds caring but pushes you toward safety. They will call you obsessed, cold, or changed. What they really mean is this: you no longer make them comfortable. Machiavelli understood this silence well. He observed that those who rise must expect isolation, because power removes shared ground. When you see further, you walk alone. This is where most men quit, not because the work is hard, but because the loneliness is unfamiliar. Being needed does not feel warm. It feels heavy. You are no longer invited because you are no longer optional. You are called when things break, when pressure hits, when failure is close. People rely on you, but they do not celebrate you, and that truth stings at first. You start to miss the ease of being liked, the laughter without weight, the approval that came for free. But that approval had a cost. You were replaceable then. You were safe to ignore. Now you are not. Here is the darker truth. The more people depend on you, the more they watch you. Mistakes become louder. Expectations become heavier. Your margin for error shrinks. Not because you are hated, but because you matter. This is why visibility becomes dangerous. The man who explains everything gives away his edge. The man who seeks validation reveals his need. But the man who moves quietly, who speaks only when needed, becomes difficult to challenge. Silence is not weakness here. It is strategy. Machiavelli once warned that power attracts enemies faster than allies. The higher you rise, the more eyes search for cracks. This is why restraint matters. You do not share your plans with everyone. You do not reveal how you think. Mystery protects what competence builds. And yes, this will make you lonelier. There will be nights when no one understands the weight you carry. Moments when you wish someone would simply say, "I see you." But this path was never about comfort. It was about control. You begin to learn a new skill here, the ability to sit with yourself, to trust your own judgment, to move without applause. This is where inner strength replaces external approval. If everyone understands what you do, you are easy to replace. If everyone can do what you do, you are expendable. So you narrow your circle. You sharpen your focus. You choose depth over noise. And slowly, something changes inside you. The loneliness stops feeling like punishment. It starts to feel like clarity. You realize you are no longer performing. You are becoming. This is the descent that forges power. Not the fall, but the narrowing. Most people want success without separation. They want value without sacrifice. But power demands distance. It demands silence. It demands that you walk ahead while others stay behind. And once you accept that, the loneliness loses its grip. Because you understand now, this is not abandonment. This is elevation. The path to being necessary is not crowded. It is quiet for a reason. If everyone understands you, they can replace you. If everyone approves of you, you are not growing. Endure the silence. This is where your edge sharpens and where real power begins. The path to irreplaceability is lonely by design. As your value grows, approval fades and distance forms. Silence becomes protection and restraint becomes strength. If everyone understands you, you are easy to copy. Endure the isolation. This is where real power takes shape. By now, you've seen the cost of becoming necessary. You've walked through silence. You've carried weight. You've watched as distance replaced applause. And now you arrive at mastery. Mastery is quiet. It is not announced with shouts or signs. It moves like shadow present, undeniable and impossible to ignore. It is the kind of power that does not demand attention. It commands it. The man who has mastered his value understands something most men never will. Being irreplaceable is not about making people obey. It's about being essential. And being essential changes the rules. You no longer chase outcomes. Outcomes chase you. This is where discipline meets leverage. Every habit, every skill, every decision is chosen not for approval, but for necessity. You don't exhaust yourself trying to impress. You conserve energy for the moments that matter, the tasks that no one else can accomplish. This is how presence becomes authority, silent, unyielding, unassailable. Think of the master craftsman in a room full of amateurs. The work he produces speaks louder than any explanation. The room waits while he decides. The outcome is his alone. Yet no one envies him openly. They respect what they cannot replicate. And this is the core principle. Irreplaceability is forged in scarcity. The rarer your ability, the heavier your influence. There is a subtle truth here that few see. Power attracts attention, but mastery attracts dependence. When you act with consistency, precision, and restraint, people begin to measure their actions against yours. They anticipate your standards, they seek your guidance, not because they fear you, but because they know the cost of error in your absence. Machiavelli hinted at this centuries ago. A ruler's strength is not in showing force, but in creating structures no one else can command. Similarly, mastery in life is not domination over others. It is command over situations, problems, and decisions that matter most. When you shape outcomes without asking, the world bends around your influence quietly. This is not arrogance. It is clarity. You no longer compete with mediocrity. You rise above it. And in doing so, you build freedom. Freedom does not come from wealth alone or from recognition. It comes from leverage. When your value cannot be replaced, no one can dictate your terms. No one can hold your fate in their hands. The man who has mastered this does not argue for respect. He does not explain himself. He moves with quiet certainty, knowing that absence creates consequence. He allows others to act, to fail, to stumble, and watches as his presence becomes the invisible force holding balance. This is the paradox of mastery. The less you try to control, the more control you command. Think of the strategist in history, the general who does not fight every battle but wins the war. The thinker who steps back while others rush, then moves decisively at the right moment. The master understands timing, pressure, and the subtle threads that connect people, outcomes, and events. Irreplaceability is not loud. It is deliberate. It is invisible until it cannot be ignored. And mastery carries responsibility. You cannot be essential without holding yourself accountable. Every skill neglected, every discipline ignored, every promise broken chips away at the leverage you built. This is why mastery is lonely, not because of isolation, but because the weight of dependence demands perfection. You answer not for applause, but for consequence. You carry more than recognition. You carry necessity itself. Yet there is liberation in this burden. Because once your value is irreplaceable, you gain choice. Choice to step away, choice to negotiate, choice to act without fear of removal. Freedom is the natural reward of mastery. Others may attempt to influence, manipulate, or control, but you are untouchable, not by arrogance, but by design. So you continue, you refine. You learn the limits of your skill, the edges of your patience, the contours of your presence. You do not seek validation. You seek precision. You do not seek applause. You seek impact. You do not move for others. You move for consequence. And when you are gone, the silence speaks louder than any voice ever could. The work, the influence, the problem solved in your absence, it all whispers the truth. This man was not replaceable. And now, the world feels it. This is mastery, not noise, not ego, not dominance, but command without asking. Influence without neediness. Power without visibility. And the freedom that comes from knowing no one can take what you have built. Mastery is not about forcing respect. It is about creating dependence so quiet, so essential, that the world cannot ignore you. It is about working in silence while others scramble in noise. It is about knowing your absence has consequence and your presence has leverage. When your value cannot be copied, you are free. And freedom is the ultimate form of power. Irreplaceability is not about dominance. It is about leverage. Leverage is built through discipline, patience, and deliberate mastery. When you cultivate skills and value no one else can replace, your freedom becomes untouchable. Mastery commands without asking and shapes outcomes without force. This is the final step in the strategy of becoming irreplaceable.